पॉलिसी बाजार पर 1 करोड़ रुपए का टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस केवल 450 रुपए महीने से शुरू। वाव!
The India-Australia interim trade deal has come into force today. I have with me the Australian High Commissioner, Farrell, to talk about what's in it for both the countries. Many thanks for speaking with NDTV. I understand that the bilateral trade is likely to be doubled in the next 5 years. Now, how is this trajectory going to be propelled?
Well, it is a great day. It's a great day where ECTA comes into force, which sees the elimination of tariffs on 85% of goods and services from Australia coming to India, but more importantly, the elimination of tariffs on 96% of goods from India going to Australia. Now that reflects the fact that India and Australia are becoming closer on economic issues. India is already our 5th largest trading partner. Last year, two-way trade was worth $23 billion or 19,000 crore rupee, and I can only see that growing. And so the benefit of the deal that comes into force today is that India will get cheaper inputs of Australian goods, and Australia will benefit from cheaper prices for Indian manufactured goods. It's a win-win for both countries. And so whether it's one of the most important areas for India, of course, is textiles. And what we're going to see is imports of cotton and wool, important for the Indian textile market, become cheaper. But more importantly, textiles, manufactured textiles going back to Australia being cheaper as well. Minister Goyal, during the negotiations, indicated that his department had made a study that suggested that 40,000 new jobs a year would be created in the textile sector because of these sorts of benefits. So whether it's liquid natural gas, whether it's critical minerals and other metallic ores, whether it's education, whether it's professional services, there are benefits not just in Australia, but for people here in India.
What are the sectors in Australia that are likely to benefit?
Well, as I said, the liquid natural gas, critical minerals and metallic ores, along with the cotton and wool sectors, but equally education, other mineral resources, and professional services and tourism will benefit, but many of these will benefit in both directions. We're already seeing, since borders were reopened, significant growth in Australians coming back to India as tourists and Indians going to Australia as tourism. So the great thing about free trade deals done right, and this is a trade deal that's been done right, is there's benefits for both countries, and that way you lay the foundations for even further and deeper economic benefits, and that's what we hope for in a closer economic cooperation agreement.
In a trade deal, increasingly mobility is a very important factor. How are we likely to see the movement of professionals and even students? Are they likely to benefit from this trade deal in the sense of being able to stay back, work for some time in Australia for Indian students?
Well, this deal is terrifically good in terms of improving the mobility between our peoples. We will see, for instance, up to 4-year visas for investors and for those people who work, particularly in the tech sector, the professional services sector, whether it's the Infosys, the Tatas, the Wipros and the like, those contractual workers, those transferees, intercompany transferees, who'll be able to find it easier to come to Australia. We'll see 1,800 visas a year for trained and qualified yoga instructors and Indian chefs to reflect the growing importance of those cultural professions within Australia. Within 2 years, we'll see 1,000 young Indians able to travel, work and live in Australia under what we call the Australian Homemaker and Work Travel Program. And in a free trade agreement first, students will get further post-study work rights whilst they're studying in Australia. And for those Indian students studying in Australia, honours courses in STEM, science, engineering, maths and the like, they'll have extra time to be in Australia as well. That is a first in a free trade agreement that Australia has entered into, and it's done it with India.
But is this trade deal in part also happened because of the trouble that Australia was seeing with its largest trading partner, China?
I think that given that India is the sixth largest economy in the world, that India is too big to ignore by any country. So we look at this on the basis of the mutual benefit, the fact that we have complementary economies. We have things that India needs to grow its economy. For instance, critical minerals and the like will assist with the benefit with the mission that Prime Minister Modi has to make India a global manufacturing hub for things like electric vehicles and solar panels. So India stands alone and Australia makes its decisions on our national interest. And we see the mutual complementarity of our economies as a benefit. It reflects the strategic alignment that we have. It supports our efforts across the Indo-Pacific. A stronger economy enables both India and Australia to do more to support prosperity and security across the Indo-Pacific. But Australia and the Australian government does want to try and stabilise its relationship with China. China, as in India, is a major trading partner. The Australian government's keen to remove the impediments that have been imposed on Australian exports to China. Minister Wong's visit to China was a first step to do that, but the Australian approach will be calm and it will be cautious. We will agree where we can, disagree where we can't, and we will continue to speak out on international security and those norms and rules that deliver security and prosperity to the world.
My final question then, as you're mentioning the travel of Penny Wong to China, since both sides are looking at some sort of thaw, is that likely to impact finally the trade dealings between India and Australia?
No, I think the trade deal that we're releasing today, the closer economic cooperation agreement that we're hoping to get concluded next year, will continue apace because of the continuing alignment between our two countries. The world should not view Australia's international relationships through the lens of China. Australia makes decisions in its national interest just as India makes its own. And those national interests that we have, the vision that we have, the closer cooperation across a whole range of areas, including through the Quad, speaks for itself in terms of our long-term commitment to India. The great news about today, the extra present about today, is that because the ECTA, the trade deal, comes into effect 2 days before the start of the financial year, businesses in Australia and India get two benefits in 2 days. They get the first tranche of reductions in tariffs today, and in 2 days' time on the 1st of January, they get the next tranche. So that's good news not just for businesses, it's good news for consumers, and it's good news to the finance ministers of both our countries because it'll help develop our economies.
High Commissioner May, thanks for speaking with NDTV.
Thank you very much.